Hey everybody, this is AJ Puedan with Better, Faster, and Easier. Welcome to the show, and today I am with long friend and peer and person that I absolutely admire so much, Shelley Herzog. Hi Shelley, how you doing?
Hi, nice to see you, AJ.
So, for those who are new to the show, quite frankly, the format of the show is that I don't have a format. We just kind of talk. The invention of the show was me and my friends seem to have just like amazing conversations at Starbucks, and I thought, you know what, that's a show that people should hear that because I think the things that we tend to talk about is a little bit different than some of the everyday people. So I always wanted to know what when one master talks to another master, do they have the same conversation as one amateur to another amateur? And I don't think so. And so, ideally, this will be a very elevated type of conversations. But Shelley's such a great friend. It might not be elevated. So I don't know. You might just be kind of goofy. So we'll see how things go. So hey, Shelley, just in the kind of nutshell type of things. Let me tell people who I think you are, and then you tell people. Okay, so
Good.
so you're just gonna be silent for the first few minutes of the show. I met Shelley. Whoa, 2002.
Three.
2003, something like that. So
Oh, we did meet in 2002. That's right.
yes, so quite a long time. You came through some seminars, and as we kind of developed, we just had a great relationship. I know that your background at one time you were a school teacher, then a real estate investor, and and more than anything, you're kind of like a teacher, a student of life, and so you took those skills into the seminar world, really helping people, and then you and I did a project together where we wrote a book together, How to Coach a Fish. If you don't have the book, make sure you get it. Shelley and I wrote it together, and I still get so much great compliments when people read our book that they really love it. It's really content filled, and so we taught for many years the Success Coach certification program together, and that's kind of how the tidbits there. Anything else you want to kind of throw in about yourself real quick? So they have a framework of who's talking.
I consider myself a mumpreneur.
A mompreneur.
Yes. So, I am a mom. I have two kids, a kindergartner and a 3-year-old. And yet I'm still an entrepreneur, and I work, less than 10 hours a week, and I love what I do. It totally inspires me and makes me happy and makes me a better mom. So I would say in general that is I guess sums up who I am. I'm a mompreneur.
Right, fantastic. Hey, there's a lot of content out there about business and those sort of things, and I always want to say, what kind of conversation can we have a little bit different? And I love the fact that you said mompreneur. So, one possible things is I like to get your perspective because one thing I've really admired about you is how you've taken real, the seminar kind of content and actually apply it in your everyday life and being very congruent in walking your talk. Perhaps you can kind of give me some we'll start off by pondering life together, pondering ideas about how to take lessons of maybe the business world or seminar world, and what does that really look like in real life? Types of thought. When I say that, do you have any initial thoughts?
Well, I think that, it's about being really conscious and being very intentional about what you're doing with your life. So if you recall, AJ, when you and I first met, I had just left teaching. I was involved in real estate investing, and I hadn't yet applied my intention into my life yet. And at the time, my intention was that I was going to have a family and that I wanted to have two kids, or at least that was the plan at the time. It worked out that way. And at the same time, I also wanted to be mostly a mom. I wanted to have a business. I didn't mind having a business, but I wanted to be mostly a mom. And if you recall, once I started to implement the ideas, the concepts into my life, one of the changes I made was that I was only going to work 10 hours a week.
Hmm.
So even years before I had kids, I planned my life and I figured out how am I going to make the kind of money that I want to make and live the lifestyle that I want to live and set up my future for having kids so
You
that
know,
it was sustainable at that time.
yeah, that's one of the things I really like, and I think that's why probably this is a good conversation for us, because it's about having that balance. Because I see so many people when they start something, they have to go completely overboard with it, and they don't have that necessary balance there. So, you've been very good at what's the difference between someone effective like yourself who can take content and really apply it in their life, and what stops other people from not getting results? I mean, they went to the same seminar you did. How come some people are going like yourself? What did you do different that got results and they didn't?
I think one of the big ones was I felt the fear and I did it anyway.
Hmm.
And I feel fear every day, that I step out of my comfort zone and do something different. And especially in business and the world, the environment that we've really had over the past few years, it's been evolving and changing. And a lot of businesses, in order to survive, in the past few years, have had to do things differently. And the
Hmm.
ones that haven't done things differently are the ones that have folded, and the ones who have stepped into the environment and say, okay, what needs to happen? What do I need to learn? What do I need to do differently? I think those are the ones that have thrived.
When I think about you, I think about you in a particular group of people that kind of like we're all together and we kind of grew up with each other a little bit. And when you say you feel fear every day, I know what you mean by that and everything, but I imagine some people might not exactly know. I mean, when you feel fear every day, it's not something that stops you. It's not something that inhibits you. It's just something that you take into consideration every day. It's you relate to fear differently,
Well,
and
there's times that it has, like for some people, it might have stopped them. For example, AJ, you were around when I did my hypnosis stage show, and it was in a goth bar in the middle of Capitol Hill in Seattle, and I'm kind of
little
a more
sweet
conservative.
school teacher gone goth bar.
Exactly. Yes, this little bit more conservative person in some ways, in this goth bar. And if you recall, before my show were grunge bands, and the grunge band would change every week. And it was so loud in there that no one could hold a conversation. The music wasn't fantastic, so people really didn't want to listen to the music either. So they would leave. And the only people would stay were friends of the band members who were kind of felt like they couldn't leave. And so in this goth bar for my shows, I sometimes had between 5 and 15 people in this bar. And I'm supposed to do this hypnosis stage show where, I get 8 people up on stage. A lot of times 8 people was the entire bar. And my anxiety as the show would, get closer and closer, I am throwing up in the corner because I don't know how this is going to work out.
Uh-huh.
And I'm literally nauseous and going, oh my gosh, what am I going to do? What am I going to do? What am I going to do? And I felt the fear and I did it anyway. There were times I did a show every week.
Mhm.
Every week I was booked, I did a show. One week I only had one person who was willing to come up, and I just did a hypnosis demo. I did the hand clasp induction and, just talked to people about hypnosis and how it works, and, and it worked out great and people loved it. A lot of other times I would get like 80% of the bar participating in my show. Because I'm like, I'm gonna do this to the best of my ability. What other choice do I have? I'm here, they're here, let's do it.
So that's awesome. I mean, that's a great example I was recently talking with another friend who's been just started doing hypnosis show, and he's been avoiding doing it for years because his greatest fear is these things might happen. Well, now that he's been doing the show, the things that he feared has happened, and you know what? He's okay, and he's no longer afraid of no one coming up. He's no longer afraid of it failing because he realizes he's okay with it. And then it enables him to do it for it. Now, I know something else about you that my belief, and you correct me with your perspective. One of the things that kind of helped you feel the fear and do it anyways in certain circumstances, sometimes you're by yourself, was kind of the submersing yourself, being surrounded by supportive people. I mean, I'll tell you, you've been just a great, awesome support and friend coach. And for me, for when I get in my head, just to have people around you. So you got to surround yourself by people. I remember calling you up one day and says, "Shelley, I need to talk." And you're like, "Okay, am I your friend or your coach?" I said, "I need a friend right now." I said, "Okay." And I told you everything that's going on, and you were just like, "Oh yeah, oh my gosh, that sucks." And it's all that kind of stuff. It's like, "Okay, you done? Yeah, all right, thanks." I hang up. About 10 minutes later, I call. First thing you say, "You need a coach now?" Yeah. And so, we've been business partners. We've been coaching each other. We've been friends. And we've never, we don't muddle. We know which character we're in. And it's been really good to keep a friendship with you that way.
Absolutely. And, people used to joke with me, because I'd be like, hey, I want an agreement made here. And I think part of the reason things don't get muddled is because we are so clear on what our roles are and what we're looking for and what agreements we're making. And so it's about setting expectations. And it really does make a difference, I think, in having a good relationship in lots of different areas.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine like a lot of other people get in a lot of trouble because they're friends, and then all of a sudden they get into this business thing, and they're not separate or coach. They're coaching their friends, and all of a sudden it gets kind of muddled, and we realize we know how to play each roles, and so I want to encourage people out there to really get clear about, with the same person, that you might have several roles and that you might need to relate to them differently at times.
I have to say that in my life, when I'm the most frustrated or the most disappointed, it always has to do when my expectations are not met. Mm-hmm. And that's just something that, like, my husband and I strive to, make sure that, the earlier we can, if things aren't going to go according to plan, the earlier that we can reset the expectation, the better. Because I just hate getting the call at 5 saying, "Oh, sorry, I should have left an hour ago, but I'm still here." It's like, what? I was expecting you home by now, that sort of thing. That's when I'm disappointed. Whereas if he calls at 3 and says, "Hey, I'm not going to be out of here by 4," then it's like, all right, well, we'll see you when you get home, and then it's all happy. So.
Yeah. So so all this stuff that we've learned, and stuff, since we've known each other, we both have all of a sudden our parents. We weren't parents before, and now, how old are your kids?
5.5 and 3.5.
5.5 and 3.5, and I'm right in the middle with 2 4s. What are you doing with all this personal development, and all of a sudden now you're a parent? How does teaching them or applying it in parenting, how's that connection for you?
Wow, yeah, parenting is at some moments it's a real challenge.
It's like all of a sudden, all that personal development is like out the door. Well, for me, sometimes it's out the door, and it's like, oh yeah, bring it back in. I need it.
There are moments that, yes, it's I have to remember where I'm coming from. Yes, we had a situation this morning where the personal development work came in. Although, it's neat seeing Julia at age 5.5 versus Audrey at 3.5. Audrey's in the tantrums and no, I'm not going to do that sort of phase and kind of testing boundaries. Julia is at 5.5 in kindergarten, a lot more responsible now. And this morning, Julia had an off morning. And at first, she was like blaming other people and getting kind of into the victim mentality. And I'm like, Julia, come on. You can do things the easy way or the hard way. It's your choice how you want the day to go. Are you going to stay in this place or are you going to turn things around and change things? It was really interesting. About 20 minutes after we kind of all got through this, she says, Mom, I made some bad choices this morning. I said, it's not about, everybody maybe makes bad choices. I used her word, even though I don't necessarily like the word bad in that scenario. But I was keeping rapport with her, and I said, we all make bad choices, including myself. And the question is, what are you going to learn from it, and how are you going to do things differently next time? Mm-hmm. And that's all you can do. So it is fun when you get past those, the highly emotional places and get more towards the introspective learning place where you can have logical conversations and have some real great learning and meaning come from those situations.
Yeah, I can definitely relate with my kids, and sometimes it's just sort of turning around and getting them to focus on the positives. One thing that kind of drives me crazy, and this is just short story sharing, I don't think there's any lesson in it necessarily. You and I, as part of our language, we've learned to use the word and instead of the word but as part of our effective communication. So anytime we see something, we would say and, instead of oh but this, we say and this. And so I would read books and stuff like that to them, and they use a lot of but in kids' book. And every time I would see that word, I would automatically just naturally change it to and my little daughter's Samantha's like, it doesn't say and, it says but and just getting to learn those lessons. So it's effort, and at times it's I'm so glad that I have the experience of consulting and coaching, because in coaching we don't tell our clients what to do. We have to have them come to that same conclusion, and because that's empowering. And so with the kids, it's kind of the same thing. Sometimes you got to tell them, and that's total appropriate parenting. And yet, for them to learn and grow, then it's kind of take a step back. I can tell them what to do, but it's a lot better if I have them tell me what to do and teach that.
Absolutely. Yeah. Or if they figure it out, when they can figure it out for themselves. Audrey this morning was saying, I'm hungry. And I would reply, I'm tired. I'm hungry. I'm tired. And this went on for like 20 minutes. Uh-huh. And finally I said, Audrey, think back to when you've been successful at getting what you want in the past. What did you do differently than saying, I'm hungry? She's like, let me think. And I had to do a little bit more coaching and asking a few more questions. And finally, she's like, Mommy, may I please have some food? I'm like, oh, yes, of course. So, it's something that we're constantly working on.
Yeah. What Samantha say to the other day? She's like, I really love it when you give me chocolate. It makes me feel so good. He goes, do you want to feel good? It's like, man, she's learning sales really well.
Yes, she is. Awesome.
So let's since we got a lot of history together, what's any war stories? What's some of your most fond memories of crazy, either impactful things that we've done together?
Oh my goodness, unlimited.
Either good or bad, or just interesting, for stories.
Yeah, Unlimited Weekend just popped into my head.
That was the first one I had too.
Yeah, that was just so powerful in so many different ways.
Yeah.
For those of you who've maybe not heard of Unlimited Weekend, it's a group of people getting together. We had a bunch of hypnotists in the room, and all the attendees got private sessions with the coaches and the hypnotists, and they could either do hypnosis or coaching, and just the results that people got were fantastic. the results from the coaches too were just, I mean, it was as transformational, I think, for me as it was for,
Oh yeah.
the
I mean,
students
think of it from
there.
the student perspective. They had one life-changing event, session, but not just one. They had like four or five of them in a row. So it got compounded to make amazing results. Now, for a coach, it's a lot of energy to put that out there. And so when we would do 8 to 10 sessions in a row of life change after life change after life change, it was like a marathon, And so that was a great impact for us. But okay, so a little side note to a little behind the scenes story, and you know the story I'm going to say.
Uh-oh.
What I think is kind of funny is, we've got like 5 or 6 coaches, and we just spent 3 days of being so amazingly positive and changing people's lives and making a difference and we went so far on one extreme. All of a sudden, now that the event's over, we have to balance out, and all of a sudden we go far to the other extreme and we're like arguing for no reason, and it feels so good just because we're just balancing each other out. We're doing stupid jokes, we're arguing, we're fighting, and then we're done because we know we're just kind of balancing each other out. But it was just so funny to see such positive people swing to the other side for a brief moment, maybe a few hours, and then we're back to normal.
Yes. And everybody's like that. You have to do that.
hmm So on my YouTube channel, we went we wrote a book together. We did the seminars together. We went to Canada and spoke in front of 1,000 people up there, together. That was really cool.
It's awesome. That was so much fun.
Yeah. So with all those experiences, and kind of taking consideration from what your perspective, what you see is going on in the world today, whether it's business or just the everyday people, and or culture and concerns, what kind of trends, or what kind of is there anything trends of challenges you're seeing people being aware of, and any possible solutions to those? So trends. So trends of what challenges, are people more fearful
Are you
today
talking about
than,
societal trends?
yeah, are people more, today compared to 5 years ago? Are they more fearful or more optimistic? The world's changing. What ways do you see it changing? Are there more opportunities, less opportunities?
Oh, I definitely see more opportunities arising. I think that people are careful, though,
hmm
in choosing the opportunities that they get involved in, which isn't necessarily bad. They care. No one wants to get into trouble. I think there's been a lot of lessons learned over the last few years. People maybe making snap business choices in the past, and making sure that they don't, or even personal choices, and making sure that they don't get into trouble again, maybe.
So let's role play a little bit here. Let me give you a scenario. Let's say, I've had successes, having a hard time now. I've been burned and taken advantage of, and yet I want to do something, and I go out back there and I say, "Oh my gosh, I'm being bombarded. There's like 100 things of opportunities going my way." But so now I'm being kind of cautious, and I don't know if I'm jumping in too fast, jumping in too slow. Kind of sorting that out, just kind of overwhelmed with of how to get out there and get back on my feet again. What kind of thoughts run through your mind of what a person might do?
I think it's sampling things and
hmm
figuring out ways to sample without, and you can sample without having to spend a lot of money to do it. For example, like shadowing somebody in that profession to
Mm.
see, do I really like what they're doing? And taking a few of the options. So there's 100 things. Well, what are the 5 that seem to come to the top that might be the most interesting? And then how could I gain some ideas, more ideas about that
hmm
profession to know know whether or not I want to go into it. So maybe figuring out ways to sample it so that one or two, rises to the top, and we can make a more educated choice from there. I think also, talking to friends and family who know you, once you have, like, let's say you're trying to choose between two maybe even opposite ideas, going to friends and family and saying, based on what you know about me and my skills and my talents and who I am, do you see me in one or the other of these roles more? Or do you see me enjoying one of these, not just the money, but, the actual job itself? Because if you're doing something that you don't love, you're not going to, produce the results of something where you love what you do.
Yeah, yeah, I agree with you completely. So it's not just which one to do, which one's the most profitable. It's also what I like about what you said. It's not just, which one's the most possible for success. It's success for you, particularly for the the personality and happiness with it, because I see a lot of people get involved and say, "Ooh, that's a great opportunity because I could become a multimillionaire." But you know what? You're not going to be happy doing that. It's just not your personality. And then if someone goes, "Oh, I would love to do that, but it's not necessarily the greatest thing." However, maybe you don't know because you haven't done it. You don't know what it's really like. You just have a perspective of it. Someone gets into, some sort of business and goes, yeah, but I'm more of a people person. Well, how do you know it's not a people thing? It could be. You can turn it into a people thing. And so kind of sampling it and kind of doing some things is a great kind of strategy. So, yeah, very cool. Very cool. I like that a lot. So, this is about time where we kind of wrap things up. Now, let me ask you this question. What's something you're excited about that's going to be happening for you in the next, in this whole, let's say this next year? What's something you're going to make happen for you?
Yeah, I'm excited about a couple things on a personal level. Audrey is old enough to take ski lessons, so that we're a big ski family. So we're doing that this winter, and so we're all going to be going up to the ski hill together skiing. So this Saturday marks our first weekend doing that. So I'm excited about that from a personal level. Kind of do more, I guess. I see us moving away from the toddler age and moving into more of the little people, moving into big people sort of.
Well, I know
phase.
skiing is a big important part of your relationship with you and Eric, your husband, and so since that's kind of like part of your foundation to bring in your children to, that is pretty awesome. I know for Joan and I, it's ballroom dancing is a important part of our relationship. So I can imagine them getting to a point to where they're kind of learning something about it. That'd be pretty exciting too.
Absolutely, yeah. And we're still dancing, so we take our kids to our swing dance rehearsals every Monday and put them to bed in the storage closet. But they get a little opportunity to see us dance and at least are exposed to the culture. And so that's also a huge part of my relationship with Eric, and so that's super fun. And then from a personal, standpoint, I'm just trying some new things and excited about where that's going, and how I can continue to help people and do what I love to do.
Awesome. After this, I got to tell you about a whole nother idea that I think can give a total new layer and competitive edge to coaches and consultants. So got to tell you about that in a little bit. But hey, everybody, thank you for joining me and my conversations with some of my great friends that are also just masters in business and in life. And so, we will look to make things better, faster, and easier. Make sure you like this video, you subscribe to the channel, and check me out on Facebook and all those sort of things. All right? All right. Take care, everybody. Bye.
Thanks for having me. Thanks, AJ.